Alan, thanks for taking a few minutes, brother. I appreciate you.
No problem, man.
Appreciate you, man. So you know what, man? Let's just get started, man. One, I can tell you, I have an appreciation. I think in our industry, especially in our community, I think there's a few power couples, and I consider you guys to be one. That's why I wanted you. Clearly, I had your wife on. It feels like it was a couple of years ago, but maybe it was just a year. Who knows? Time is moving so quickly that I can't even keep up.
Yep.
So, anyway, I have an appreciation for you guys and really what you do. And I got so many things and so little time. So, one, how was the 10K? Because I've never done it before.
Oh, 10K was dope, man.
Okay.
Yeah, it was dope, man.
Well, and you guys, man, I feel like I love the fact that you're so visual with your workouts
Hmm.
and staying fit because you already know, being a former athlete yourself, again, me myself, football player, that even at 61. I work out not every day, but at least 4 days a week, and the importance that plays, and I know that it carries over to your business.
Yeah, it does.
So speak to us because I think today I want you, especially with all the training that you guys do anyway, I want you to speak to us again in this final because we're in the fourth quarter, right? We've got, we've made adjustments. And now we got to finish strong. We got to score. We got to set up plays. We got to final drives. I was at the Raiders game last night. They look poor, but whatever, right? Speak on that, man. The importance of health and your mindset and finishing strong.
Yeah, man. So thanks for first of all for having me on. I know we've been trying to get this connected for a while, so thank you, Ben and Destiny, for your patience first
Good.
and foremost. I may have been the most difficult person to get on because
Okay.
I am just busy, man. Just busy with life. I'm extremely fortunate that I put in a lot of work up front. I've been in real estate for 25 years, and I've really chosen to like design like who I want to be, and been very intentional about who I want to be. And one of those things has been health, and making sure that I have the energy, make sure I have the focus and the clarity to be not only the man that I need to be,
Mhm.
but the husband that I need to be, and the father that I need to be, and then also the leader that I need to be. I wear many hats,
Mhm.
and you know, but the number one hat is like Allen, right? And if I can't get up with strength and with, energy and all that good stuff, then I'm not going to be able to perform those other things. So, when I get out of bed, the first thing I thank God for is just to be pain free, right? It's one thing to be sore, right? And I had to like explain that to my daughter. I was like, yo, it's a difference between pain and sore, right?
Mhm.
And then there's a difference between pain and sick, right? And I'm very fortunate that I get up most of the time. I'm either in pain or I'm sore, but I'm not sick,
Yes.
right? That's an intentional choice, right? I could have all the wealth in the world, but what's all the wealth and not have the health to be able to enjoy it?
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm in my workouts and all this walking here and I got a bad back, but you know what? I'm fortunate and blessed. So there are no complaints on this end. So, and you had mentioned, I mean, leader, business owner, husband, what you do for your girls, man. And I can tell you my admiration for you of everything I've seen you do, it's more with your girls and your wife.
Yeah.
And that impresses me, especially as a black male. And pops. I want to talk about pops, but your girls and what you're teaching them and even your lunchbox notes.
Right.
Bro, I'm telling you, that's special. That's special. And we don't have enough of that, right? Um, what's the latest note you left with them or the lesson that you're pouring into them now?
Yeah, so I think well, it's funny, man. Like I wrote that book not to sell it. I wrote
Hmm.
the book to give it away. So literally made 5,000 copies, and my goal was to give it to men who I think I wanted them to see that there was coolness in being present with your kids.
Amen.
I got a preteen now, right? So not even a preteen, I got a teenager. She's in ninth grade, 14 years old. And everyone always says, warn me, when they get to teenagers, it's going to be, especially girls, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. And it is this and that, right? But I'm so blessed that I was careful in the lead up to that. I
Mhm.
was purposeful in the runway that I built to be able to have the grace to have the conversations with someone that knew that I cared about them, that knew that I was willing to spend time with them, that knew that I was willing to be vulnerable with them because, it's very hard to have a conversation with a team that doesn't trust you, that you can't go back and lean on like, hey, like I've been here, like I've been here. So I am truly navigating a challenging time with a lot more grace than most because I put in the seeds well before, right?
Amen. Amen.
And for my wife, listen, man, the most important decision that a man will ever make is who he marries, right? Um, she is my life partner. She is the sexiest woman I ever met. She is the most beautiful soul. She speaks like there's so many things that I can say about Crystal
Mhm.
um, that have made me. I was always who I was, but to have the person that can fill in those spots that I like lacked,
Right.
and to fill in those cracks and do it with grace. I want to do this just as much for her as for me. Like she
Mhm.
deserves this. She deserves this life. She deserves the freedom. She deserves the wealth. She deserves the stages, although she hates getting on the stages.
Right.
But I also understand the power and the responsibility of being a great black couple and it being against the narrative that they show on TV. So we got to create our own narratives at this point. Like we got to show like that we're not in this social media society where the only successful black couples can be this
Yes.
because this oftentimes isn't attainable for most people.
Right. That's right.
Us is much more attainable and just a different angle at looking at success.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, again, I told you power, and out of respect, I think Bo and Kimber power. I think you and Crystal power, and that's why I admire you guys so much because you keep doing it, and it shines through. You are so authentic, and I just think there's no fakeness, and I think if I met you up in Virginia or Maryland or here in Dallas, man, you'd be the same dude that I see online. You're the same dude offline,
Yeah,
and that's who Ben Baker is. So
yeah.
I am who I am. This is what you're gonna get. So I appreciate that, and I know your community because you're such a leader. They appreciate that. So, like I said, I got so much, man.
Go ahead.
What'd you say?
I got time. I set aside some
Oh, I
some time
know,
for this.
but it's crazy because I keep this to 30 minutes. And so and it's a free Zoom. So when I created it, that's what it was all about. So your father, I'd
Yeah,
say your family, but Pops, I feel like I know Pops, man. And you're so blessed to have Pops teach you some of those life lessons that I guess many of us didn't get. And I think I know my Pops. Love, attention, there wasn't that financial component that I feel like your pops has poured into you.
yeah,
I'm not mistaken in that assumption, correct?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
and I think the importance of how that's even helped you in development and helped you um, not just be famous but be wealthy. I
Mm,
think that's a less lesson. I'm so jealous because my family, we never talked about it at all, right? The smartest decision they made was to simply buy a house, and they never even talked to us about that,
right.
right? And I'm fortunate that I own a number of homes, but I've tried now to at least teach my son about wealth and the importance and the responsibility that I have because of the wealth and the riches that I have, right? So
Yeah.
touch on that. Like I said, I've seen videos. I feel like there's at least 10 plus videos I've seen of Pops. He's a star as far as I'm concerned, right?
He is a star. It's funny, man, because I think the greatest honor of a son is to tell the story of his father.
Amen. Ooh,
Um,
I'm writing that down. I love it.
yeah, man. And for your father to live a life that is worth telling the story and worth being proud of is just a gift within itself. Um, and I want to speak to black men out there specifically. Your story is not done, right? A lot of what my dad taught me, I saw when I was young. I saw my dad start a small business when I was young. I saw him, listening to tapes of Zig Ziglar, and he had these CD cases and tape cassettes in his truck. I
Mhm.
saw my dad come in late and leave out early. I saw my dad sharpening blades because he owned a landscaping business. I saw him. I smelt what work like
Mhm.
smelt like. I saw mom after she got off from work because I don't, my mom doesn't get enough credit for the
Yeah.
for what she helped build. I saw mom after working at Centel in Charlottesville, Virginia, coming home on weekends and literally licking and sticking envelopes of invoices because we didn't have invoicing systems. She was the invoicing system, right? I saw them taking big, thick checks and all of those things that showed me what work looked like. And then when I got to college, that was really when my dad started taking real estate serious. Like he had owned the landscaping business. And then when I got to college, was selling the landscaping business and phasing more into full time real estate. So then I got the benefit of the second season of his life, being more seasoned and more mature to see what he was doing and ask great questions. And my first house, I always tell it from stage. My first house was a $10,000 check that my dad gave me for my down payment from a house that he purchased like the day before I left for college. And that house paid for my first down payment and paid for me to go to college debt free.
Mm.
So you know, now in this season of my life, and I had to, I was talking to a young sister, and she was about like 50 years old, and she was like 55, and she was like, "Man, like I feel like I haven't done much." And I was like, "Well, like much of the story that you guys have seen me tell about my story was from the age of like 55 to like 73. Like that's the story that people love. They love the story of the real estate. They love what he's learning and what he's teaching. So you're not done. Like as fathers, like we oftentimes think because we weren't what we were in the beginning that we're not going to be a story worthy
Mhm.
or a legacy worthy conversation in the end. And I feel like my life is really just beginning. Like I think like my stories and the things that my kids are going to tell, the narrative of what my daughters talk about Alan Johnson. I just I just I just pray that they can tell it with the same pride and
Amen.
with the same intention and with the same impact that I've been able to tell about my father. So I remember I got on a podcast and the guy was like, "Man, he's like, I hear you're telling your stories about your dad, and I just want to know, was there anyone else?" And I was like, "Nah, no, no, I don't like. I'm not giving nobody no other credit
Yeah.
for what this man earned and what this man like
Yeah,
poured
man.
into me that pours into other people." So, you
Wow.
know, you know,
It's again, I love the fact that it touches you so that you get emotional about it because so do I. And it's funny, I've told the same thing. I said, you know what? I had heroes and I had people that I looked up to, but none more than Ruby Baker, like your mom, kind of behind the scenes, but Ben Baker Sr. Now, I grew up in the time that Lou Alcindor Kareem was my favorite, Dr. J, Michael Jordan, but those were sports heroes. I had some business heroes, but none surpassed Ben Baker
mm,
for what I saw that man do with four kids,
yeah,
right? And we lived in Plano, Texas. We lived in the Douglas community, which would be considered the hood, but in the hood, we thought we were rich.
yeah,
We thought we were rich, and we had a small home, but we wanted or lacked nothing, nothing. And it's crazy when we look back now, and it's like, yeah, I look around and my first home was bigger than my parents' home,
Yep.
right? But again, we were rich and we still are. And we still are, man. So I thank you for sharing that. So, whew, from a business standpoint,
Mhm.
right now you're, selective attention, which I've heard you speak on.
Mhm.
What's getting your attention right now?
Opportunity is
Mhm.
getting my attention right now. I think anytime when things get, a little bit jumbled, where things get a little bit unclear, when I look back on my real estate career, is the time when I thought, when I look back on it, I should have doubled down even more, even though I was doubling down, right?
Yes.
But I look at opportunity. I think that, as the market, shifts and slows down, a lot of agents are going to get out, but, the ones that, understand that this is a long career, that you can still plant seeds now that will bloom, over the next decade. This is the moment to get those seeds into the ground, right? And I pray that you had enough stored up before, right? I can't go back there for you, but I know I can future project on what I think is going to happen. And I know that there's some activities that Black agents specifically and agents, just that, that may feel marginalized. You can either feel marginalized or you can start making up the margin, right? And right now, I'm all about making up that margin. Like I'm all about like doubling down, working harder, being the best I possibly can be, studying my craft. Every day I'm learning, every day I'm trying to be the best real estate practitioner in the DMV because I know that regardless of race, regardless of color, people are gonna have to select the best when shit hits the fan, right?
Hmm.
And
Right.
the proverbial hit the fan, and like I'm the best. So regardless of my color, you're gonna have to work with who's gonna be able to help you.
That's right. That's right. Wow. Um, the best. And it's so funny because I've told folks, they're like, are you a realtor? And I'm like, no, no. I'm the realtor. I'm it, right? Regardless, and all the awards and all that, you don't even have to put black in front of my name,
Yep.
right? You talk about one of the best here in the Dallas area. Ben Baker's not a great black agent. Ben Baker's a great agent, period. And I appreciate reaching that level. And now I'm in a position to influence hopefully young practitioners. You said practitioners, right? That's where I'm at right now. And I've gone from success now to significance. And so I'm proud of that. And I'm so proud when I see others around the country doing it because you're doing it. So as our time grows short, what what would you like to, impart on others that don't know your story, and they don't even need to know your story, but from now put your leader hat on. Give us give us a nugget, speak to a young agent and then speak to a veteran agent in this business.
Yeah. So young agent, I would tell you, like young agents, you haven't been through this before, right? So I think there's something to I remember I used to go to a basketball court and I wanted to get on to like the big boy court because there were always three courts in Charlottesville, and it was this place called the Dell. And the people at the left, that's the people who were shooting around. The people in the middle were the people who couldn't get to the big court, and then the big court was where the hoopers played, like the
Yep.
professionals, the college guys. But when you were young, you had to have someone pick you up on their team that
Mhm.
knew that that you were going to just play a role. They knew that you weren't going to shoot the ball. They knew that you were only going to make layups. They knew that you were going to defend and rebound, and they were going to do the other scoring, right? So I think a lot of young agents need to just understand you're trying to get back on the big court, but you need to get on a team where you're just going to play a role for a minute until you can get to the place where you're going to actually be the scorer, where you can start picking up other people.
Yes.
And a lot of young agents, they just want to get on the big court and then they lose and they never get back on again because the everyone on that court knows that you suck, right? And you ain't there yet, right? So young agents, look, the most expensive thing that you own is your ego. Get rid of that, right? Get with a team, someone that you see not only just as being productive, but someone who is like living a lifestyle that's reflective of the way you want to live your lifestyle. Like I would never get with someone on their team and I wanted to be a great husband and they're not a great husband to their kid, to their wife, or
Right.
or I want to be a great dad or I want to be an investor and they're not doing any of those things because all of those things matter, right? So as young agents, now that things get tough, go help someone who's older. Go get with someone who's better than you, and not just there for a year. Be there for the next 3 to 4 years. Help them build. Get to the place where that person might not be able to get without you, right? And then let that person place you into the place where you need to be, right? So I think that's what I would say for young agents because it's gonna get dark out there, yo. Like y'all got you gonna need some shade. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you had spoke on, even especially the veteran agents now, unfortunately, many they didn't harvest, they didn't plant some of those seeds because we're in some difficult times. And I know that helped me. I look back to 20, that whole great recession of '08 for me through 2010, and I didn't feel the impact until 2010. But fortunately, I had harvested some stuff and I had some stuff set away, because my wife and kids, they didn't feel the pain. Dad went through the pain, but thank goodness the pain wasn't that much because I had some stuff stored away, right? I had some nuggets, right? I had some pecans, stored, and it helped me get through it. And I think 2025 has been challenging for so many, but there is opportunity. And I think what you and I both know, that more wealth and is built during these tough, lean times if you lean into it and you're smart. And I know that you are. So give us a nugget for that veteran agent now who's feeling the pain. Tell them to stick with it. What do you got?
Yeah, I think I read something, and it said that if you have to motivate someone to do what they need to do to be successful in business, then they shouldn't be in the business. So if there's an older agent out there and you need motivation to do what you're supposed to do, you need to get out the business
Right, right,
because you're gonna have to find it in yourself, right?
right.
And oftentimes it's reflected in your habits. And, I teach our team that, we oftentimes talk about adding habits. I found more success in deleting habits from my life,
Mm.
right? So deleting alcohol, deleting sodium, deleting, looking at social media for more than 15 minutes a day, deleting things from my life, right? So I would tell the older agents, like, look equally on both sides. If you know there's something you need to add, then it's likely easier for you to delete something before you add a new habit, right? And for me, I'm stripping it down. I'm getting really purposeful. This morning, I reached out to six of our past clients that I had pictures of. You know how oftentimes like we got pictures of settlement, like went to settlement, like
Mhm.
we don't do the bottles of wine and nothing like that, but we do like the like celebratory picture where we're like happy. I realize that a lot of those people like they're happy, but they haven't given us 5-star reviews yet. Right?
Absolutely. Destiny. Keep mindful of that. Yeah, I'm the same way.
Right. So this today, I like every Tuesday for a half an hour, I go back through and I send an email with a video of me talking to the client about, hey, you want me to do it? You want me to do a quick script of it real quick here?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I got the picture, and what I do is right now, guys, I think we got about just under 700 5-star reviews. 700, right? But it's been very intentional. And people write great stories, and I don't want just reviews for reviews. I want reviews that when people read it, they're like, "Oh, that's me," right? So what we found is that people they relate to recommendations a couple different ways. It can be in written word, it can be in spoken word, it can be in visual, right? So we want to hit them in all ways, right? So the one thing that Google's great about is you can actually put a picture with your review. So I'm hitting the people who have not given us a review yet, and I'm just saying, hey, look, man, in these days and times, people are, looking more and more on Google for who they want to do business with. And, we had a successful transaction. You found us off of Google. So I just need you to take a moment to make sure that you mention exactly where we sold your house. So I sold my home in Woodbridge, Virginia. And then just say your story. Like, just say your story. And it doesn't have to be an essay. It could be really quick. It could be long, whatever you feel. But that would really be helpful in me finding other good people like you, right? And oftentimes you'll get one person, like the husband will do it or the wife will do it, but I want to get the other person in the relationship to do it. So, my goal is just, getting, three of those people that I know should give me a review, that haven't. And then also I'm very purposeful about giving reviews. So
Man.
you can't ask for what you don't give, right? So, the restaurants that I go to, I'm being more purposeful about those, especially ones that I feel like should deserve one.
Right.
Uh, Lenders that have done great jobs, I'm asking them, hey, real quick, how can I give you a review? I just believe what you put out in the universe is what you'll eventually get back.
I love every piece of that. And it's so crazy because I was sitting there thinking, I don't think I've given you one yet.
Mhm.
And it's crazy because that's part of my business practice with all the many referral partners I've got around this country. Even though I've never bought or sold a home with you, I can still give you a 5-star review. And so I do a minimum of 5 to 10 of those each and every week. And yours, I thought yours was already there, but you just reminded me it's not there. And so it will be there probably by the end of the business day. I'm traveling, so maybe tomorrow. But bro, look, because we could go on. And like I said, this is only a 40-minute Zoom. So I like to keep it short because, again, when I started this, the plan was, we're so busy that if someone is willing to give me 30, 35 minutes of their time, I want to make sure that we get straight to the meat. We're not going to waste time with a salad and appetizer, right? That's why my motto is I bring the meat every week. And you've brought the meat. You've brought so many lessons and life lessons and focus and attention. And I think right now, especially in the turbulent times that we live in, uh, that selective amnesia. Let's forget about that. Forget about all this craziness and the wackiness that's going on, and let's just focus on one being good. For Alan's got to be good. Ben's got to be good because if you're not, then Crystal and the girls and Pops and your family and your clients they're not good if you're not healthy and good. So you are.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys.
Now I appreciate you, man. Hug the wife, man. Kiss the kids, and hopefully at some point before too damn long, we'll be in the same vicinity, man. And we can dap each other up.
Hey, look, bro, good bro hug, a good long bro hug.
Hey, man, I'm looking forward to it, man. So go slay it because I know you're killing it, man, and I appreciate you.
Destiny and Ben, I appreciate you.
All right, be good.